Like
Corey,
we
hit that.
always do about this time.
Yeah. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of I Often Wonder. As you can see, is Wildcard Mar. There he is, the ghost himself.
What up, though?
Detroit Mail in the building. As everyone can see, we are joined here by a special guest. We will get into our special guest in just a moment. We will introduce him and kind of give a synopsis on why we are gathered here today on this very special episode of I Often Wonder. But y'all know the deal. Y'all go over to your respective app stores, whether it's the Google Play Store or the Apple Store, and download the IOW Network app. You see it scrolling on the bottom of the screen. We got a lot of great content on there. Of course, I Have to Wonder podcast, IOW Sports. Our brother from another, L. Jeffrey Moore, with LJ Presents.
All right.
Paradoxical White Vault. And if you are into wrestling, of course, we got the Dirty Hills podcast on there as well. And we are music lovers, so we got a lot of music from mainstream as well as independent artists on their grind as well. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, all that. But without further ado, of course, for those who like to ignore this very special, momentous month, is BHM. It's Black History Month. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And that's why we have our very special guest with us here today. We have Mr. Jonathan Clark, who also works for the same company that Detroit Mail does. Without further ado, we have our brother here, Jonathan Clark. How you doing today, Mr. Clark?
I'm doing good, thank you. Doing good. Nice to be here. Nice to see you guys.
Good.
Kind of give a breakdown of what exactly you do in corporate America, Mr. Clark.
Well, I work for a US company, but I'm actually based out in Asia, in Singapore. And I work for a part of the business that is there to support our sales staff around Asia, helping them navigate their way through a lot of non-standard deals, try and help them structure their deals in such a way that it meets the company requirements, but also meets the customer's requirements as well. I've been here for nearly 6 years now, I think over 6 years, in fact. I'm from the UK, as you can tell by my accent. But yes, I love in Asia, and I love in Singapore. Love the heat, love the food, love the multicultural society that we live in. Just a shame we're living in a COVID world, which prevents us from traveling anywhere at the moment. But hopefully that will get back again, and I can explore Asia. So.
Yeah. Because we actually have a good friend, Ms. Vicky Esther, who's based out in Singapore, and she's dying to get us out there. I don't know if it's because she has a bond taken to Detroit Mail. I think that's the reason why. But but no, we're definitely going to try to get out to Singapore for sure. But the reason why we have you here, Mr. Clark, is because, of course, it's Black History Month. And I think what we want to do is try to break down those myths and conceptions about when it comes to having African Americans in the corporate environment.
Right.
So kind of give us your is there like a what does that look like when success for African American in corporate America? What is that corporate environment? What does that kind of look like?
Well, it's interesting because I'm from the UK, so I grew up in the UK, right? So my family is first immigrants from the Caribbean to the UK. So in the 1960s, the 1970s. So I was the first generation born in the UK, and we used to look enviously upon the US. I have to say, when it came to black people and their prominence in business, their prominence in sports, their prominence in music. We used to look enviously upon it, right? Because you guys in the US, from a success point of view, that's what we see. We see success, right? We see success, in sports, in, like I say, in music, in business. Even as funny as things like I was used to comment that when we used to watch a typical show, a typical cop show, the police commissioner was always a stereotypical black man, right? He's got to a very prominent position in society in the US. So from a UK point of view, which is why we didn't have so much of that growing up. We would look upon the boardrooms, we'd look upon the business, we look upon the music and everything, and although we were starting to rise, we never got to the position that you guys got to in the US. But I'm, like I say, from the UK, so we used to look endlessly upon in the UK black footballers, black sports stars, black musicians, but it wasn't a lot in corporate businesses, right? And that's where I think we need to strive towards, right? We need to strive towards getting more prominent positions in corporate in the UK. But it's changing and it's improving. I can see in my time definitely from the 80s, the 90s to now, 2000, 2010, 20. It's definitely getting better. There's a lot more prominent businesses coming up now. You can see there's a lot more black influences there, and it's positiveness is coming through, which is good.
Yeah, that's good. That's real good.
That's interesting because it kind of reminded me. I was talking to last year. We did a 28 days for 28 black podcasts for 28 days of Black History Month, and one of the I interviewed one of my classmates from high school. Well, actually for most of my life. And he talked about the school we went to. And we both went to the same school, but his experience was totally different than my experience. He saw it as a white predominant school. I saw it as a black predominant school.
Yep.
And we went to the same school, but then I started the circles we ran in. Our school was very segregated. So we had what they call Black Hall, and then we had what they had White Hall. And predominantly white people stayed in that hall, black people stayed in that hall. But because he played certain sports and stuff, he kind of intermingled with a lot of different people. And then I was a knucklehead, so I had a lot of knucklehead classes. And so that was predominantly black in those classes. So for me...
Oh, you a knucklehead. Oh. So you finally admitted it.
My story to tell, not yours. And so for me, I didn't have a lot of white people in my class, so I saw it as being around mostly predominant, blacks. So I bring that up to when you guys talked about the point about, looking at the U.S. and saw black people in achieving certain things. So we in the U.S., we always saw us being portrayed wrong on TV, being portrayed. So we saw it from a different perspective. And it's kind of when you're on the outside looking in, you see it one way. And I was always envious of when I found out there were black people in the UK, like, okay, they must have it great over there in the UK, you know. Plus, they got those accents, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
That's it.
yeah, no, it's true. It's true. I mean, if you look, I suppose there's always a potentially can be, you know, grass is always greener, right? Grass is always
Right,
greener when you look at on the other side. But
right.
I think, you know, and yes, there was racism in the UK, and there is racism, not was, there is racism in the UK, right? But you know, nothing like what the African Americans have gone through in the hundreds of years you guys have been there, in terms of the overt segregation
Right.
of black people, right? That didn't happen in the UK, but there's an undercurrent there, right? So you'd never, when I was growing up, you would never see rooms that are labeled black only or coloreds only, and which is less than. But it a little bit was there. It was there. Racism was there. I suffered racism growing up. Everybody, all my black friends, all suffered racism. We still suffer it today. It's just not overt. And you think that the US has come a long way. In the '60s, and the movement change. But my wife, funnily enough, is from South Africa.
Okay.
And if I speak to her about racism, she grew up only in in the areas in South Africa where it was segregation, racism was there right up until the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
The 90s is like a minute ago, right? That's not a long time ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you're talking about 20, 30 years.
Yeah, and you think, me from the UK think, how can that be? But it's there. It was there, and it's rife. And, it's we've come a long way, but we've got a long way to go for sure.
Yes.
So part of this, what we want to do is talk about, being black in corporate America, because you see a lot of what we see or perceive to be successful black people in the world,
Yep.
And a lot of times we look at the black people going to work with their suits on and say, oh, they must got a good job, they must be successful driving nice cars. So a two-part question, and this will kind of kick off what we're going to start talking about. What does success look like as a black man in corporate America? And what is it like to navigate that success within corporate being black?
Oh, it's a good one. I mean, I can only look at it from the UK side, right? If I'm looking at what does black success look like in black America. But I think it's a case of looking at it, and you look at the stereotypical boardroom, the guys who are making the decisions, the guys at the top, and you want to be seeing a successful and a healthy percentage of black people in those prominent positions, right? That's what you want to see. You want to see black people having the same chances, the same capabilities as everybody else. You don't want to see any form of not even so much racism, but being treated differently because of the color of your skin. You want to see everybody have the same type of opportunities, right? That's what you want to see. Now, is that happening in corporate America? I mean, you guys would know in terms of being over there and working in that environment. I mean, I can only see it from the UK side, but I've seen, even in my company, I'm seeing prominent black people in very senior positions, right? In my company for sure, and that's encouraging to see. That is encouraging to see, right? VPs, RVPs, SVPs, senior directors,
right?
That's what you want to see, and you want to increase that going forward for sure. And it's not just black men; it's women as well. You want the representation
Right.
Because women are also have been treated differently, paid differently for doing the same job. I mean, that kind of thing has to change, right? That has
Yeah.
to change for sure. So yeah, it's we will want to, we just want to see. That's what we want to see, and you want it to be such that you're not actually talking about it. It's just a given. It's not something you have to address, right? Because it's a standard. That's what you expect.
Right.
You want, and I go back to my wife, and like I say, from South Africa, when apartheid was ended. I speak to her a lot about how did South Africa change from where it was to where it's getting to, and it was affirmative action.
Right.
There was black people, put in positions straight off the get-go. So that's what you want to see potentially, getting people in position, because for the last how many hundreds of years, black people as a society has been oppressed. We know that it's been, the funding, the investment compared to other forms of society. So that has to be readdressed for sure. And in some case, you need to affirm that, and you need to provide affirmative action to get black people to the position that we want to get them to.
Right. So let me ask you this, John. So when the George Floyd incident happened, and I know Lamar and I had talked about this a lot of times on the show, the one thing that that was shocking, well, I guess shocking may not be the right, but one thing that I was impressed about, for lack of better words, is that
Pleasant surprise.
Pleasant surprise. We go with that you saw that it happened worldwide. You saw people in the UK, people in other places across the world, France,
South America, everywhere.
Right, South America responding to it. So
yeah, for sure.
So how did that particular incident affect things over where you are now and in your corporate environment?
Yeah, I mean, woof. I remember the incident. Well when it was, they'd filmed it and it was on the news. And I think for me, initially, my thought was, "Oh, here we go again, right? Here we go again.
Right.
Another black man has been, wrongly accused, and then, killed in, just, for being. It's ultimately for being the color of his skin. That's right. That's what it was. But the outreach of the fact that everybody was so outraged in Singapore, in the UK, all my friends in the UK, it was the one, I think it was the moment that's like, this is enough is enough.
Right.
Enough is enough for sure. And I was so happy to see, because I'm a football fan, soccer, as you guys may call it, football. But immediately after that, they implemented the taking the knee, which is all football games, everyone takes the knee. And that's still happening today, right? But it was the incident that lit the fire to say, we have had enough.
Right.
And what it did, it's as shocking as that incident was, people realize that this is not a one-off. This is happening a lot of the time. So it really started to focus in on, and it got people talking about, why is everyone taking the knee? What do we need to do to change? And you've seen some affirmative action as a result from it. I mean, we have in the UK multiple incidences of black people being incarcerated incorrectly or dying in custody. And I don't know whether there was an incident in the early 2010, 2011, I'm going to say. I can't remember the specific date, where an individual was killed in police custody, and that sparked riots in the UK. Now, no one is condoning riots, right, in terms of what happened, but
Mhm.
it brought to light this type of incidents do happen,
Right.
Mhm.
and you know, I think you can see there has been going back to George Floyd incident, there has been a change. I've seen anyway, a positive change to be more
Mhm.
inclusive into the corporate environment, and things are changing as a result, for sure. There is a lot of change still need to happen, for sure. It does need to
Right.
happen, but
Right.
there's a lot of changes happening, and I think even in my organization, when the verdict came through of the policeman
Mhm.
getting the sentence that he did,
Mhm.
it was, in my company, I remember the very senior VP addressed it on the very next day. We were on a works meeting, which was
Mhm.
an Asia Pacific work meeting with everybody from Asia Pacific all on this Teams chat, and she addressed it almost like topic number one.
Mhm.
And she, pleased to see the result, pleased to see the verdict. And I remember commenting when it was open up for question and answers. My first comment was, I was really grateful that you actually addressed that straight off the bat, because I know when I came, because the verdict came while I was sleeping. I woke up, I looked at my phone, and I was like, yes, finally some justice. Because we were all expecting, I don't know about you guys, but I was expecting, oh, something's going to get off, something's going to happen, there's going to be some kind of
Right.
technicality, and
Right.
he's not. But to get the verdict he did, it was good.
Yeah, I think I was kind of expecting the same thing. Like, man, I hope we don't get away with some kind of technicality or this.
Mhm.
Seen it happen so many times.
Yeah, you've seen it too many times.
So many times, and now so it gives you a glimmer of hope. Say that,
Yes,
and it's not to say that we don't have a ways to go, but I guess
sure.
one of the things I like to say too is that you have to. I think a lot of times, when like I said, I'm going to speak about the Black people here in America, and I don't speak for all of them, but to say that right quick, But I think a lot of times,
Speaker of the black folks.
right? I am the leader of the Black Coalition here in the United States. But I think a lot of times we hang on to our tragedies as a
Yeah,
medal of honor,
for sure.
and
Yeah,
it's not that you don't forget about them, and you talk about them because sometimes others need to hear about them, but you
yeah,
can't be stuck there. You have to move forward, and when you see
for sure.
certain things that gives you a glimmer of hope, you grab onto those and keep moving forward. And
No, I agree. I agree.
I think
I
that's one
agree.
of the things we need to do.
Yeah, and I can't agree more in so much as like I say, my father was an immigrant to the UK from the Caribbean in the
Mhm.
60s. And I remember growing up, and I would be upset about some racism. I was called this, I was called that.
Right, right,
But he would always talk to me and said, "Listen, don't use that as an excuse not to succeed, right? Don't
Mm.
use that as a means of saying I'm not as good as the next person. You
right.
are good. A lot of times you're better. You just got to say, okay, I hear what you're saying. I don't agree with you. It's not right,
Mhm.
but don't take it as a means of putting yourself down and holding
Mm.
yourself back, right, for sure." And when he was growing up in the UK, from coming from the Caribbean, and
Mhm.
it's eye watering, some of the things that they had to go through. My
Mm.
father, but he ran his own business. He's retired now. He's back in the Caribbean. Has gone back. Ran his own business successfully, and he'd work hard day and night. Um, and he was an inspiration for me because even when I was growing up, when you see this racism, it didn't. It's the kind of thing you had to deal with to get
Right.
on, right? You didn't use it as a means of saying, "Oh, because of this, I can't do that. I can't be successful." You listened to it and you understood it, and you plowed on anyway.
Yeah.
And this is what we have to do in terms of my children. Luckily, in Singapore, like I say, it's a very multicultural society. I've got young kids, so thankfully they don't have to suffer racism that I did, and I didn't suffer the racism my father did. But
Right.
if there is a little incident, you say, okay, you teach them that everybody's equal. Teach them that you just have to take it. It's not right. You don't treat people differently than S because of the color of their skin. They may do that to you, but you do not look upon yourself down as a result of what somebody says or the way somebody treats you. So
I like that.
I like that. That kind of brings me to my next question. So, how do we, as African Americans, whether we're in America or UK, or as a Singaporean yourself, what do we have to personally do to make sure that we're putting ourselves in that position to be ready to be in positions of high, I guess I don't want to say power, but in higher positions in the corporate setting?
No, that's a good question. I mean, there's a few things we have to do, I believe, right? You have to work hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are given a position. You have to demonstrate that you can do that position to the best of your ability, and you have to grind, or you have to graft. You have to put it in, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to go the extra mile. You have to put your hands up if somebody wants something done. You're looking for volunteers. You say, yes, I can do that. You have to go out there the extra mile. You have to show that you're capable, right? Study. You have to go out there. You have to get your qualifications. You have to be ready, right? When the opportunity comes, and there's a position opening, you have to put your hand up and says, yes, I want that promotion. And if you get knocked back, you keep on going, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't use it as a means to say, well, that's it. I've been knocked back once, and therefore, it's not going to happen for me, and therefore I'm going to wallow in it. I'm going to just carry on. You say, okay, I'll go to the next one. And you just, you have to be in a position where you can take that opportunity when it comes, right? And you got to network. You got to
That's big right there.
yes, make get a mentor, get somebody who can chart you on a path where you want to go. I mean, I'm very fortunate to have some guys who were my bosses, who I keep in close contact with, who are very senior, and I learned upon them. I explain a situation. I say, I'm not quite sure about this. I get some advice, and I act upon it. And I think you will get recognized. You put your hand up. You go that extra mile. You work hard. You grasp that opportunity when it comes, and you will get recognized. And you keep doing that. You keep doing that for sure. And it will come. These opportunities will come for sure. Sometimes, in terms of success as well, I mean, it depends what success looks like, right? Success may mean, I don't know, Jay-Z, P. Diddy. That may be success for some people, right? And in those kind of situations, then you've got to go out and you've got to be your own man, right? You got to have an idea, and you got to pursue it. And you got to go hard and hard and hard, and you got to grind and you got to graft. I mean, I listened to a lot of podcasts for inspiration, and the one that really inspired me the most was Jamie Foxx.
Okay.
Listened to him on a podcast by Tim Ferriss.
Okay.
The grafting that he had to do to get to his position. I mean, he's an inspiration for me for sure in terms of his talent. Rapping, music, acting, comedian. He's everything, but he had to grind to get there. It wasn't handed to him. Nothing is handed to you. You're not going to stand out and just hold your hand out. You've got to go and get it, grasp it. And that may be success for some people. What's successful is getting in to a senior position in an organization. Another span of success is having a family with a loving wife and loving children and being comfortable. Whatever success is for you, that's what you need to strive to achieve. And with the positive attitude, you can achieve it for sure. You can achieve it.
I like that.
So,
I like that. So we ain't gonna hold you too much longer. It's been 30 minutes. I know you gotta get to your meeting.
sure.
We appreciate you, man.
Definitely.
It's a pleasure to come on. Thank you for inviting me.
No problem, John.
And when you come over to Singapore, please hook me up for sure.
Oh yeah, we'll look you up, man.
I'll take you to some nice places to eat, drink. Some good places. The food in here is phenomenal. You know, you will.
That's what I keep hearing.
You'll go away satisfied for sure. But you know, yeah, good to see you guys. Really, really appreciated the time to speak to you guys.
Oh no, we appreciate the time and the insight on what you were able to offer, Mr. Clark. I mean, it's refreshing to hear that there's some progress being made in just a corporate environment for people that look like us, that has that good amount of melanin in them, and it's and we thank you for doing your part, for being a beacon of hope for people that look like us. So obviously, for you to make it to where you are, and the longevity you have, that speaks volumes. It really does. So I don't know if anybody has ever told you how great of a beacon of hope that you are, but we'll be glad to tell you how a beacon of hope you are. So no, we definitely appreciate it, Mr. Clark.
Appreciate it. All right, guys.
I really
appreciate it.
Talk to you,
Thanks
man.
a lot, guys. All right, then. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, y'all. We had booked 2 guests on here for this particular topic. We had one from one side of the world. Now we got one from here from the United States. We're gonna bring him on, let him introduce himself. Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, fellas? How's it going, man?
Good.
What's going on?
I'll try to talk as freely as I can without getting myself in trouble. How about that?
Hey, cool.
I get myself in trouble all the time, so I'm saying.
Yeah. But you know what? In all actuality, this moment that you're having, kind of thought processes of whether to walk that line,
right?
It speaks to about how us as Black men in America have to always find that line to walk dealing with corporate America.
Exactly.
Yes. So it actually speaks pretty much spot on the issue of what we're dealing with. Because there are other people who in corporate America don't have to worry about that fine line. You know what I'm saying? They have that cloak of safety to always lean on.
Right.
But kind of speak about that. How do you have to navigate through corporate environment being a Black man?
You know what, man? So we are recording now. Like, are we live? What's happening here?
We're not live, so I mean,
okay. Yeah, you know what? I'll speak on it, man. I mean, for me, and Jamel and I, we damn, can I use real names? My bad, man. Damn.
It's up to you, but I use my name, so don't worry about it.
All right. Okay.
Trust me, that Negro don't care.
Okay. I mean, we both work at the same company, man. And the weird thing is, it feels like 2022. This is both the best time to be a Black man in corporate America, and also it's the most disparaging time. I say that because, well, let me break it down. So, we had the Summer Guild a couple years ago. Everybody, all of a sudden, things went from being diversity, equity, and inclusion to we got to get more Black people in here, or we got to at least pretend to. So, I'm part of an organization at the company that we both work for, and a big part of what we try to do is recruitment, trying to get managers, trying to get Black employee or prospective Black employees in front of managers, trying to get more Black people who are at the company into management. I've been in management for 20 years, and I can't tell you, man, how many times I'm the only one in the room. Like, still, even now, I've had opportunities where I've felt that there were other people who were good for management, who were good fits, and for whatever reason, people here just tend to fall back on what they're used to. So it's like, I feel like, at least for the corporation that we work for, and it's probably universal to a degree, a lot of companies now are really kind of talking the talk in terms of being more inclusive, in terms of being more inviting, allowing people to bring their quote unquote whole selves to work. But then which is good, and we have seen some increases in terms of numbers of Black people to get in. But ultimately, man, the people who are making decisions are people who are in positions of power.
Right.
And I'm still not seeing the sort of movement in my own personal career, as
Mhm.
well as just with other people getting to that level.
Mm.
Being a manager is one thing, being an executive is another. I've like cleared all the hurdles to go from where I'm at right now to the next level, which is, and I don't even know what it is, bro. I can't turn the locks. Like I cannot get myself to that next level. I have proven every damn thing. Jamel, you saw it. Like, we had a whole
Right.
company-wide event, and I was the face
Mhm.
of the company and all this stuff, which
Right.
is great. But ultimately, I feel like some of the same things that we were seeing before are happening, despite companies saying that they changed. So again, man, it's a great time to come in because they want you.
Mhm.
But do they want you to be in a position where you're actually able to hire people or able to, influence, processes or
Right.
or I don't know. I really haven't seen that at the company where I work, man. So
It's like they want you, but they want you as at a cap.
yeah, like the ceiling's right here. The
Right.
ceiling's right here. Let me
Right.
show y'all something, man. I mean, since we just talking here and we just shooting the shit. I mean, this is my motto for this year. I don't know if it can fit in the screen or whatever. I'm
Closed
sorry,
doors.
man.
Closed
Oh, yeah, I
doors,
see.
open windows.
Yeah.
Because I'm just sick of having doors closed in my face, man. When I have proven myself over and
Mm.
over and over again, and it's just like, damn, what do I have to do? And it's weird, man. Like I know we let's just talk, man, because we just talking. I feel like in corporate America, to be a black person who gets ahead, at least to a certain level, you got to be
Mhm.
Superman. You have to
Mm.
be freaking Superman. White guys just get to do. They just get to be white. Like
Right.
they get to come to work. White
Mhm.
people just get to come to work. Black people come to work with a responsibility.
Mhm.
I like.
And yeah, man.
I
So
like that, bro.
I hate like sounding like I'm this down, just kind of defeated person because I'm not. I mean, I feel like if nothing else, man, George Floyd put a battery on my back.
Mhm.
I was coming to
Mm.
work and just being content. I'm in management. I feel good, but like, damn, I should be pushing for that next level. So
Right.
if nothing else, that woke me up.
Mhm.
I'd like to think that the company now should be seeing the same thing. But ultimately, man, people are gonna see you how they see you. And
Mhm.
Yeah.
there's an old axiom: people hire people that they like or that
Mhm.
they know. And I got some stories, bro. Like I'm gonna just leave
Yeah.
that there. I realize I'm
We talk
talking a
about
lot,
stories
and
off
we
air.
haven't even. I
No,
know I'm
no,
talking a lot. Yeah.
no. My brother, look, this is a safe place. This is a safe place,
Yeah.
and because it speaks because we see what's going on with the NFL right now. It's
Mhm.
it's
Man,
it's 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 a lot of symbolism. It's a lot
bruh.
of it's a lot of in racism, inspire to change, the equality. You see all the banners on the helmets, on the field, on the goalposts, on the
Right.
hats, on
Right.
T-shirts. They got the message
On
everywhere.
It's
They,
just
they got
it's
the
just
message
virtue,
everywhere.
right? It's just virtue signaling, though. Like, what's
Hmm.
really behind it? I read an article yesterday, man. Like, the NFL is always they're talking about diversity, and we want to have more black people at the team. Now, bear in mind, Roger Goodell is he's not anybody's boss except for the NFL corporate
32
officers.
owners. Yeah.
Right. He's the 32 owners are his boss. So
Hmm.
they tell him what to do. I don't know if y'all saw the thing today, man. The commanders, Daniel Snyder basically tried to say I'm gonna do this investigation of this sexual assault stuff on my own. It was
Yeah. Yeah.
interesting to
Yeah.
see that. It was really funny to see that Roger Goodell finally grew a pair and like kind of came back on him. But
Mhm.
the article I was reading the other day was basically saying, look, the NFL, Roger Goodell is saying all this great stuff about equity or whatever, but at the NFL and in their own offices, they have hardly any black people in high executive levels. Like
Hmm.
so, and that's the thing that he actually can control. He can't make
Mhm.
he can't make owners do what. I mean, they're gonna do what they're gonna do because again,
Right.
they're his boss. But I don't know, man. I saw so many parallels with the whole Brian Flores thing, man, and just black people in general in corporate America. Like it
Yeah.
was just like, damn, you know,
It's a lot of parallels with it. I
A
mean,
whole
it's a
lot.
lot.
you can go down the line of everything that Brian Flores was naming off, and I didn't dabble a lot in the corporate environment.
Mhm.
I worked at a one of the big mortgages places, you know, with the chariot and the horses. We're not gonna drop names.
Say no more. Say no
I
more.
was just on the phone team, and
Mhm.
while the money's great, you know, that's the carrot that they like to dangle is the money
Right.
part.
Right.
Right.
But there's a glass ceiling growth in that company.
Right.
You know, even at I worked at a corporate restaurant. You know, I made it to sous chef, which is considered a management position, but when the actual decisions being made in the big part of the company,
That
and
ain't
want a
you.
lot of people that look like me. So
Right.
it's like it's where do we
Mhm.
find a way to get ourselves in that position? What do we have to do as us to
Mhm.
get to break that glass ceiling, pretty much?
I think I said it before, man. You got to be Wakandan. Like you have to be superhuman. And I know that sounds ridiculous. I think again, you just being black and being excellent can get you to a certain point. Like it can.
Mhm.
That's where I'm at right now. But to get to the next level where you're actually making decisions, not being
Mhm.
told what decisions to push down to someone else, I don't know. I mean, the handful of
Mhm.
people I know who are in that executive level, it was just good timing. It
Mhm.
was an actual, someone further up who said, you know what, it's time. Like,
Mhm.
and I see your excellence. I see the value in what it is that you bring here, and I'm just gonna make it happen.
Mhm.
So I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It
Yeah.
just has not happened for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
You know, here I heard someone say this before.
what's
They
that?
said, um, being first black is not an achievement; it's an assignment.
Damn,
And I think
Mm.
that's so profound and deep
Mm.
because that
bro,
carries
that is deep.
there's a
That
lot
really
with it.
is.
You know, it
Yeah.
carries a lot with it. You know,
There's a lot you could take away just from that quote.
I got
right?
to write that one down. Being first
Because
black
you
is
know
not an achievement; it's an assignment.
it's an
Right.
assignment.
Because here's the thing, and I think this goes back to what I was saying a moment ago in terms of, if you're white, you just get to work.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
If you're black, there's always one. I mean, in the organization that I'm in, I've always been the only black manager. Period. Like I don't care which group I've been in here. And again, we're not getting too specific or whatever, but I've
Right.
always been the only black manager. Always. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and there's always this like pressure to make sure that you're trying to one. You don't get to half step on anything
Mm.
Right.
because there's always this feeling that if I mess this up, well, there's the excuse to not hire any more of us. You know,
Mhm.
also, like when you're in the level, of management, and you're that one black person, other black people are always trying to like pick your brain for how to get there. And I want to
Right.
help them, but
Right.
that's an obligation also.
Right.
Mm.
And
Right.
then there's this sense that again, we got to try and get more people here. And if the company doesn't really believe in that, it's like you're the only one trying to make that effort.
Trying to
So it's
push
like
it.
all these things that I think about that go into my day in addition to the day job.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, damn, like if I look at my peers, they don't have to deal with any of that, and they're getting ahead.
Right.
Like,
Mm.
so, bruh, sorry, man. I'm not trying to get worked up or anything, but it's just,
No.
It's like
It's
conversation,
it's
man. You know.
but you know what? It's okay to let this passion out because it means you
right,
care. It means you want to see progression. You want to see
right,
change. So, my brother, you let all the passion out that you want because we need more individuals that have the passion that want
Right.
to break the glass ceiling. We
right.
need more people to have that passion to say, like, yo, we're good enough.
Right.
If given the opportunity, I bet you we could possibly do better than what has been going on in the past. So
And
it's
that's the
like,
and that's the thing, man.
yeah.
Nobody makes it this level if they're not great. Like you
Hmm.
don't
Mm-hmm.
get. That's the thing. You don't get to be black and mediocre.
Right.
Period. Like that's not an option
It doesn't
at all.
exist. It
No, it
doesn't
doesn't
exist.
exist. I mean, I mean, it does exist, just doesn't exist in the halls that we're talking about. Like,
Right. 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 Right.
you're not gonna make it here long enough if you're not like great at what you do. And
Mm-hmm.
I think I just keep bringing it back to this concept of again, when you're great is not good enough or it's just not valued, because that's the thing. If I look at my colleagues, they're good at what they do too, but I'm every bit as good at what I do as what they are.
Mm-hmm.
But so the opportunity should be equal, in my opinion, man. Um, just again, let me also say this, and I know it seems like I've been all doom and gloom. I do think if there's any good thing that came out of the summer of guilt, it's that companies are actually trying to look at HBCUs. I'm an HBCU grad, proud grad. I can't say what school, but now these schools, like, everybody wants to go there now. Everybody wants to go and like bring black kids in or whatever, which is good. Like that's a change from probably what we saw 3 or 4 years ago.
Let me ask you this though.
What's that, man?
When because you hear about this all the time, go into this idea of code switching in corporate environment,
right?
Because here's my thing, and I tell people this all the time. When you in the market contested, because he worked with me before, how you see me now, that's how I always am. Now with this caveat, I know I ain't gonna be like, what up? You know what I'm saying? Such
right.
And such. I say,
well, it depends on who you're talking to, right?
Right. It depends on who you're talking to, but I still don't. I don't change much. I don't go into the what they say, the bill collecting voice.
Right.
Hey Johnny, how you doing?
Have y'all seen I'm sorry to bother you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yo.
That movie speaks to everything that we're talking about right now.
Now it went off the rails the final man, that's way off.
It went
but
way
there
off
was a lot of truth there, man. About now, I will also say this: I'm at a stage in my career because one, I'm close to 50, so like the whole, I feel like now I'm like what you see is what you get, and I can't say I've always been like that. No, but with the whole code switching thing, I feel like I'm at a stage now where. One, I'm secure enough and knowing what I know. Like I know my stuff, so I don't feel like I do that a lot anymore. Like I and let me say this also. I feel like that's maybe one of the things that has been a positive change with the summer of guilt. I'm gonna keep bringing it back to that because reality is, man, a lot of things that we see that look quote unquote progressive, all that's because that man, has somebody nail on his neck. Like if that had not happened, man, you might have 0 coaches in the NFL. You want to be real about it. Like, so I feel like that's probably been one thing that I feel like, again, I bring it back to this whole thing with George Floyd putting the battery in my back. I don't have time like to just come in faking for y'all. Like, it's what you see is what you get. And I feel like I should still be able to succeed on those grounds. Like, I don't see my colleagues like having to change stuff up. They talk about boats. They talk about yacht rock. They talk about whatever they do. And I bring the same energy to work, man, that I have here.
But what's interesting though, because of where we work at, we have people from all over the world.
Very true.
And a lot of them are allowed to bring their culture into the work environment with no problem. But language, when we bring our culture, it's kind of like they may not say nothing, but they give you that look. I know what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? And I know what you're saying. That speaks to some of that microaggression that you got to deal with sometimes.
Right.
Like, and your hair. That's so interesting.
Every time I get a haircut, like, I wear my hair a little long, in the winter, and I get waves every summer. Like, that's what I do. I cut it down. And bruh, it's just like every time I do it, they're like, "Oh wow, you got a new dog. It's just a haircut." Like, chill. But again, I just say all of this, man. And I think if there's any one thing that's gotten better, also, I feel like younger people are able to come in and be themselves. Like we got interns with like just straight box braids, man. Yeah, like cornrows and stuff. Like I that would have been that's something I couldn't have even envisioned 20 years ago. I wear cornrows to work sometimes. Now, does this scare people a little bit? Yeah, but again, I just feel like I'm at a stage where my work speaks for itself. I just that's just how I feel. Like again, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's for everybody, but that's for me, man. But just that's it. Sorry.
Hey, man, I understand, bro.
Hey, I understand. So let me ask you this, my brother.
Talk to me.
Go ahead, man. How do you love the concept of affirmative action?
I'm gonna say some shit that's probably not gonna make people happy. Look, man, reality is when I came to this company 20-some years ago, they didn't spell it out, but I knew what it was. It doesn't mean that I wasn't great. It doesn't mean that I wasn't qualified for the job. But if I looked at the number of people and the color that came in with me, and then for the next year, the number of people that came in and the color that came with that group, pretty damn clear to me. I don't have a problem with it. Here's what I look at it like my kids, they're great students or what have you, and they're, they'll be heading to college soon. And reality is, they come from a really different economic background than I did growing up.
Right.
So I can't with a straight face say that my kids, just because they're black, are disadvantaged, because they are not. Like, they are growing up in a pretty, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I think it's a little different then. I think if you're looking at schooling or what have you, I think that's where the economic, element has to come in. If you're a rich black kid, then I should not be getting in at the expense of somebody else who doesn't have those advantages. Or if
Right.
you're well off, or you know what I'm saying? If you're an upper middle class black kid, sorry. Like, I don't know that really works in the same way there. That's just me talking that. But in
Right.
terms of employment, because look at it, man, again, the company that we work at, we're underrepresented. We're underrepresented at all levels of the company. Slice and dice or whatever you want, whether it's management, executive level, individual contributors. Yeah, like, bring black people in. It does not mean they're not qualified. Because here's the deal. You still got to do the job.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right? Like, yeah, that might get you in the door, but it's not going to keep you in. So that's kind of how I look at it, man. That's just me. Everybody's different, but
Right.
that's what I feel.
Right. I can see that. I mean, I've spoken on it a couple of times, and I've kind of been on the fence with it.
Talk to me.
I kind of see it from your perspective too, and at the same time, I kind of see it as a lot of times, especially I'm gonna get like my daughter.
Go ahead.
She went to a very prestigious school, and always had good grades all the way through. 4.0. She was in all the clubs, all that. So, which helped. She strategically built her resume, so she can pretty much go to what school she wanted to.
Right.
So she's in a class, predominantly mostly white people, and they get into this discussion about race. And so one of the white kids like, well, you only here because of affirmative action, and you took that from my friend who had a 4.0. So my daughter was just like, well, do they belong to any clubs? No. Do they do such and such? No. You do such and such? No. She said, well, I'm here because I'm qualified. Your friend ain't here because they didn't do enough to get in.
That's it.
You know,
that's it. Right.
And my thing is, like, sometimes you hate to deal with that stigma when you somewhere in a position. It's always looked at because of that.
Right.
You know, now don't get me wrong. I understand why it's there, and I understand that sometimes at some point it was needed because we wasn't getting those opportunities.
That's true.
And it's crazy because, like, I think I have a mixed emotions about affirmative action because there are cases where it works out in our favor.
Yeah.
And then there are cases where it absolutely does no good for us.
Right.
I would agree.
So I mean, it's like I can't lean one way or another on affirmative action.
Right. Because the problem is the people. Let me say this part first. Because of the society that we live in here in the United States, we are painted, first of all, with a broad brush.
Very.
And we are painted in a negative light a lot of times. And so, and because we are so segregated and people don't really get a chance to know others, so they just see, Malik, yeah, he's black, let me hire him, and they don't really dig into his.
How often does it really happen like that, though? Like, I don't see all these black people, just unqualified black people, getting these go ups. That's just me.
Now, I don't think I'm not saying not qualified.
Right.
I'm saying they don't do a diligent, and I'm not saying everybody, but sometimes they don't do a diligent search. They say, okay, let's fill this quota and get these people in. Instead of doing it. I want you to get the most qualified black person for that position because, like we said before, unfortunately, as a black person, you represent all of
everybody. That's true.
That's just how it is.
Extremely true.
And if you're just, let's say it like this. If you are a 7 or 8, right, and you have another black person that's actually a 10, and they say, well, we're going to just hire the 7 or 8, he's close enough, get him in, and you don't fulfill that position like you should to a degree of excellence,
then
say, well, we tried, we got Malik, and see what Malik did. They Good job.
No, you're right. You're right. And let me just say this though,
Mhm.
regardless of whether being black help you get in the door or not, that stigma that you talked about in terms of you still got to live up to it, or it's going to hurt other people, the
Right.
next 4 or 5 people,
Mhm.
that's still going to be the case.
Mhm.
That's still going to be the case to me. That's the way I look at it. Again, I look at the way that I came to this company, and again, it was never spelled out to us, but we're not dumb,
Right.
okay? But if I look at the people that came in with me, they're all great. Like a couple of them are also in management. Like they've stuck around. They're doing good stuff.
Right.
Like so, whatever their motivation was,
Mhm.
clearly they picked people who were good and people who were qualified. Like nobody didn't make it, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
And I think also, man, I just got to just say this, and I'll take it back to the whole NFL thing. Qualification is very subjective, like extremely subjective. You know, I mean, somebody could be qualified just based on the fact that they went to a certain school. That happens. Some people will just say because you went to Duke, you're
Right.
automatically qualified.
Right.
And then likewise, they'll look at the HBCU and say, "I never heard of that school, Elizabeth City State." What? Like, no.
Yeah,
So
I had that
again,
problem.
there you go. So again, that's extremely subjective, man. And I think sometimes people will use that quote unquote gold standard for qualification as an excuse to not hire people that look like us.
Right.
That's reality. Or and again, some parts of I bring it back to what I said earlier. People hire people that they either like or that they know. So if they don't know you, if they're not familiar with your culture or whatever school you come from or what have you, that's a strike against you that has nothing to do with what's on a resume or your capabilities. And again, if the people who are making decisions in terms of hiring look at a candidate and they see their nephew or they see somebody that reminds them of a neighbor's kid, that's an advantage they have that you just won't be able to overcome. If that makes any sense whatsoever. So again, man, I think again, you know, as somebody who hires, I mean, that's part of my job here as well. You always are just trying to look for, it's always a crapshoot. Okay. And if we take it back to the NFL thing, you know, you look at Eric Bieniemy and help me out, man. You know, Byron Leftwich. Like on paper, these guys are every bit as qualified, but they get passed over. And when they're getting passed over, the people can't say that they're not qualified.
Right.
Like they can't. The whole Brian Flores thing. He took a terrible Dolphins team, man, in like 2 back-to-back winning seasons. Like, dog, like that's clearly qualified. But he can't get a job, and they'll just take a shot on the guy who. I take it y'all follow sports to a degree.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. We do a sports
So if you look at the Giants situation, they hired the general manager first, okay, from Buffalo. Then they hired an assistant from Buffalo. Like, has anybody talked about that guy's qualifications or is he great for the job? No, it's just assumed. Like when you are white, if we're being honest here, you know, competency is assumed. When you're black, competency always has to be proven. It's always questioned. Like, so that's that, man. I'm sorry, I'm going off the deep end here. I love having this kind of discussion, man. For real.
Hey, but it's all relative to the bigger issue, and I think me and Mel have always been big components of, well, you know, sometimes let's not have a seat at their table. Let's make our own table. You know what I'm saying? Let's not, you know, keep hitting this glass ceiling. And hell, let's just make our own building in the sky.
No.
So I mean, you know, is that going to be more work you're going to have to do? More than likely, yes.
Yeah.
It is, but to me, the payoff is going to be so much greater than anything you ever put into it. Because
and the payoff may not be your life in your lifetime.
Also,
you have to be willing to do. You look at the civil rights movement. Most of them guys knew that the payoff
they weren't going to benefit from. Right.
They knew that. And then if you look at, I mean, King saw Medgar Evers die. You know, he saw it. He saw
they're in the driveway, right?
Yeah. The boy open casket.
Emmett Till.
Thank you. I don't know why I can't remember that. He saw Emmett Till.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't like. So he knew it was a possibility. He might not make it out to 60s. You know, I mean, it happened anyway, but he knew that possibility. But he still was willing to do what it takes
and push on.
to, to push on, and that's how we have to look at it.
I feel you.
We may never see the the fruits of the labor, but we need to go ahead and start working towards that so that others can.
I feel you.
You know,
same page, man.
Right. I'm gonna say this before we get out of here.
Hey, you can't have progression without sacrifice.
There you go. If you look at President Trump, and you contrast President Obama.
Damn, bro, I just got triggered.
Look at this. You contrast with President Obama. When Obama was elected in 2008, it was for disenfranchised Black people. It was a sense of euphoria because we never. I mean, I can go back to rap songs and say, "Oh, if I was the president, I'd paint the White House black."
Yep.
It was a joke because we didn't never think it'd happen.
Yeah, all them Chris Rock jokes.
Right, all the Chris Rock jokes. We're gonna be barbecuing in the front lawn and all that kind of stuff.
Lance Pay is great, and they did, by the way,
Right.
To be fair, they did.
Right.
Maybe not in the way that we thought it was going to happen, but they did do a lot of the stuff that were the jokes. But anyway, go ahead, man. My bad. Electric slide and all this stuff. Cha-cha sliding in the White House.
That was, for us who felt disenfranchised and disconnected to the presidency, we were connected. Right. Now, we're not going to get into all the political part of it. Now, you contrast that with President Trump. He was for the disenfranchised white folks who was upset with Obama and who was upset that you got a Black person in there. And he gets in there and he draws them in. So they had their sense of euphoria. You know
That's
what I'm saying?
very true.
So that was a picture of two Americas.
Very much so.
You know what I'm saying? And that's how it just played out that way. You seen it played out in your eyes. How the two Americas act.
I mean, the weirdest thing with Trump is like, oh, my bad.
No, go ahead.
I was saying the weirdest thing with Trump, man, is just, gosh, he, for the people that he purportedly represents, everything about him is the absolute opposite of what they say they want.
Right.
Like, this guy is in New York. He's married multiple times. Got to be honest with it. Multiple affairs.
Right.
Probably paid for some abortions. Let's just be honest. He probably did. Doesn't go to church. Like, none of that stuff. Like, none of it. Like, the kids don't work. Like, they don't do like hard work. They just like benefit from like all the stuff that they said that they were about. He was none of that. But the thing is, I think here's what you were correct on though. He knew to speak to that. He knew how to like just he made them feel like they saw themselves in him, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Which is why they're willing to like just lynch people. Like they were literally going to do that. They come to DC with nooses, like just ridiculous shit. I just, again, man, I can't. I look back sometimes like I cannot believe we really did 4 years of it. I just. And the funny thing is, the day that he left, it's like I haven't thought about him again since.
Yeah, I think he making himself trying to make himself relevant, but
nah, he's not gonna make himself relevant. No.
Well, we appreciate talking to you, man. It's been a good conversation.
Yes.
Hey, man, I'm sorry I took us off the deep end.
No. Hey, no need to apologize. People need to hear this. People need to hear that come and it be acknowledged because it's out there. This is reality. This is the truth. Like this isn't stuff that people make up. This ain't this isn't something that you know what I'm saying. Like, I
mean, we didn't even get into like my personal experiences and like stuff I've had to deal with. I mean,
I know you got stories on that.
Oh, I got stories, bro. Like I got stories. But I just think overall, man, I do want to try and end on like just a high note. I mean, my personal story is mine, and you know, my issues with being able to make it beyond my level. There are things I'll resolve one way or the other. Either I'll just leave it there. I will also say though, you know, and I said this a little bit earlier, this is probably the best time for Black men or women, for that matter, to come into corporate America. Like the summer guilt is still in effect, and a lot of the things that we as people may not have been able to do, or rooms we might not have been able to get into just 2 years ago, now we can't. You know, I mean, the company we work for never acknowledged Black history ever. Now they like gave us time off King Day and Juneteenth. So like a lot of these things, I mean, a lot of these things are good. So I don't want to make it seem like everything is doom and gloom. But ultimately, man, I just think it all comes down to knowing your value as an individual, as a worker, and not being discouraged when you don't see the sort of progress or whatever you want. That's something I have to tell myself every morning. I know my value. I know how dope I am. I know what I'm good at. Like in the world, this is not just corporate America. The world will, as a black man, the world will continually tell you that you're not.
Right.
But you got to have that inside of you, man. In any setting you're in,
Man, you know what, man? You know one thing I like about the black people that work there.
what's that?
Majority of them. I ain't met them all, but
You ain't met them all, right?
When we see each other, it's like we knew each other for a long time.
Bruh, tell me about it.
And I was
Tell me
telling
about it.
Lamar, about this too. I think we was talking about this one time.
Mhm.
One thing I say about black people in general, we have a way to speak to each other non-verbally
Without speaking.
and you just know.
It's just
Right.
a look. It's a
Just a
nod
look.
sometimes.
Little
Sometimes
nod.
it's just, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I love that about us, man. I love that
I feel
about us.
you. I feel you, man.
But
Definitely,
man,
definitely.
we appreciate you, bro.
Hey, man, I
Definitely.
appreciate y'all, man. This is
Hey,
just
man,
good
we
to
do
be able to
something
get
else. We
this
about to
off my
bring you back
chest.
on. We like your energy.
I'm here. I'm here, man. Let me know.
Hey, matter of fact, you sound like you got a little sports knowledge. We might have to get you on a
A
sports
little bit.
podcast too.
A
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah,
Let me know.
Yeah, we
Oh,
Let me
bring
know,
no
you
doubt.
man.
on the podcast too.
We'll talk. We'll definitely talk.
All right, bro. Hey, man,
All right,
I'm
bro.
in the car, man. So come holler at me.
Next time I'm in town, man, I'm there.
All right.
All right,
Next
take
time,
care.
man.
Take
All
care,
right,
my
brothers.
brother.
Take it easy, man. I see you.
Well, there you have it. I mean, you got two perspectives.
Right.
One of a brother that's in America dealing with corporate
Mhm.
environment. You got one overseas from the UK and Singapore dealing with corporate environment. There's some differences, but there's a lot of similarities. A
Awesome.
lot of similarities.
Right.
Hey, let's not get discouraged out there, young folk. And there's more than football. There's more than basketball.
Mhm.
There's more than music that can lead you out of your humble settings. I'll put it that way.
Mhm.
So, man, this was a very refreshing
Yeah,
episode. It
good,
was
man.
very
Shout out
refreshing.
to John, man.
Yeah.
And, we're gonna say Jay. Shout out to both of them. We appreciate them coming on, man. I enjoy both perspectives.
Mhm.
I even like the fact that John even brought this South Africa perspective. Doing apartheid. That
Mhm.
was another different perspective what Black people had to go through. In another country. So,
Yep.
shout out to all three perspectives. We enjoyed it. We always want to do something for Black History Month. We didn't do the undertaking we did last year because that was a lot of work.
Ooh, that's a lot of work. Lord, that's a lot of work.
We enjoyed it, but we was tired.
Oh yeah, we enjoyed it, but man,
But
it took a lot of work.
Right. I did not want to go through February and not do at least something.
Yeah.
For Black History Month. We may do something else like a pop-up something, but I wanted to be one.
Yeah. We got we got 18 more days. So
18 more days. We might pop up and do a live or something, talk about a subject.
You never know.
Never know. But yeah,
right,
so
yeah.
we have to get up out of here. We ain't gonna worry your patience anymore because I gotta edit this video.
With all that being said, on behalf of our wonderful guest that we had today,
Right.
On behalf of the big homie Detroit Mel Wildcard Mart, it's been another episode of I Often Wonder. Make sure you go get the app. It's available in the Google Play Store as well as the Apple Store, the IOW Network app. And make sure, please, especially at the YouTube. That's where all of our content is at for I Often Wonder. We do have the Instagram, the Twitter, the Facebook, but those platforms are used to keep you informed of what type of content we want. But the YouTube is where it's at. So like, share, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Bing! It'll let you know. It'll let you know every time we got something going live. But look, it's been a wonderful episode. Hey, y'all go out there, go do some great things, people. We'll talk to y'all later.
Peace.
Peace.